Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abbie Richie. I'm the founder of Senior Savvy, and you can find me right here every Tuesday talking with people who are engaged in the lives of residents at senior living communities. We talk about technology, we talk about sales, we talk about marketing, we cover it all because we love your residents and we want to see them thrive, and we want to see your staff also thrive in their positions. Before I introduce my guest today, I want to say our show is sponsored by Fynn.io. Visit Fynn.io to learn how to improve your resident well-being, forecast costs, and drive NOI with Fynn's comprehensive senior living platform. That's Fynn.io. And let's go ahead and run the intro. Wonderful. I want to go ahead and bring my guest on. Today, we are honored to have Fara Gold McLaughlin with us today. Welcome back to Tech Tuesday, Fara.
Thank you, Abbie. It's always such a thrill to be on your show and support the beautiful sponsors of Senior Living Foresight, and certainly to bring the news around all things tech to the senior living industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have to fangirl on you for a little while, Fara, because we've got to spend a lot of time together last year. We went on a couple of road trips to conferences and retreats, and I know that anytime your name is mentioned, whether I'm having lunch with someone or we're chatting and your name is mentioned, people's hearts are lifted, and you have shared so much wisdom and just experience and life into and in the senior living community surrounding, and so I just want to say thank you. You are so well connected, and your experience is always valued. So welcome, and thank you.
Well, I'm humbled by that introduction, Abbie. Thank you. And as you know, I hope the listeners and viewers know that when Steve Moran, the founder of Senior Living Foresight, wanted to create a technology day and a technology show, we put our heads together and you were our first name. So I'm honored to again be here and thank you. And I'm excited about our topic today, because again, to know that Fynn is one of the sponsors that's dedicated to the resident experience and the quality. And that's my hope around our discussion today.
Wonderful. Now, prior to talking about the resident journey, you have worked in senior living and you've been in many different aspects of it. So could you please tell our viewers today what your prior experience is in senior living?
Thank you. Well, I started my career in human and child development, family studies, and I was fortunate enough to be picked up by leaders with the Hospital Corporation of America. Those leaders then went on to support Paul and Terry Clausen's vision of growing Sunrise, and I was invited to join in my senior living career in 2002 the Sunrise family to be the regional or area manager, I would say at the time, in San Francisco. And I took to it because of my love for aging individuals, the experience I had as a granddaughter of someone that had lived in a long-term care facility. And I use that word for that particular environment in 1972 to 1975, where my actually great-grandmother had broken a hip and never walked again. Mm-hmm. And I love the idea that we've brought forward the last 2 decades in making senior living better for all aging individuals to thrive. And technology is a part of that.
Yeah, 100%. And then in the past couple of years, you've actually become a resident, right?
I have. I wanted to put my money where my mouth was. And my husband's totally retired, and we live in a really interesting independent living boutique community in Scottsdale. So that's been an incredible experience. It's unlicensed and unregulated, as many of us know, in independent housing. But it's been a great experience to be inside. And certainly, as you had mentioned, my years in management, leading the integration of the division of Brookdale with Altera and American Retirement, going on to help launch a resident safety platform, Blue Willow Systems, that became a part of Philips and the Lifeline. That whole thread and through line brought me to the moment 2 years ago where I thought, I want to be able to work and live in senior living. So, my hope is that part of what I can share and the value I can share to the listeners and viewers, and certainly other companies, is that unique experience as a resident.
Yeah, I think that's so overlooked. We have a lot of people, a lot of companies reach out to me wanting me to take a look at their technology, right? And when I do and I look at their website, I can tell they've never been inside a senior living community, nor do they know who they're marketing to. And so anytime you can get inside, you can see the day-to-day activities, the better your product and your service offering is going to be. And so I want to talk about what have been some surprises to you, some things that you were like, oh my gosh, this needs help, or oh, this is a lot better than what I anticipated it to be.
I think that's a great question. And if you're a technology company today, but certainly if you're also an operator, I invite operators to take a phone call from a technology company and a startup, but also help guide them through a needs assessment. We know our primary objective in the business of caring for people is certainly occupancy. And
Mhm.
by having and serving as many people in a community we can, then that allows an operator to certainly experiment, try out, try on new solutions. And so getting that connection between the technology company and the operator to me is really valuable. Like you said, I'm often technology companies reach out to me as well. And I ask that question, have you talked with or met with an operator?
Mhm.
And invariably, more than a coin toss, more than 50% of the time, it's someone's great idea, but they didn't actually embed or ask or do a needs assessment around what is it that the operator needs, but certainly hearing the voices of residents. So starting at that true needs assessment, lots and lots of widgets, and I like to use that word kind of loosely, but just because someone has a new potato peeler doesn't necessarily mean that the market wants one or needs
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And so again, I think identifying where are those critical pain points for an operator. And as we know and share for the viewers, we know operators, your pain points are finding that, net operating income or the profitability in this business of caring for seniors. But within that are a lot of nuances. And so again, for a technology company to be aware that adoption or trying on a technology has to be something that's easy, that creates a testimonial so that your staff and associates are excited about whatever that new technology may be. And then they can be part of your foot soldiers, your evangelical testimonials out into the market.
And would you also tie that into how you secure early adopters, whether it's early adopters as residents or early adopters as technology users?
I really value technology companies that can bring forward a connector. So
Mhm.
certainly Senior Living Foresight is a connector. This is a platform. You are a connector. I'm a connector. So how do we help? I know another wonderful sponsor of Senior Living Foresight that's getting the word out is a great partner, August Health.
Yeah.
And so by when they were doing their early launch, finding that right single operator. I often advise a technology company, I know you want to have the big providers adopt your technology, but instead find a smaller regional or very specific market boutique company and then partner with them in that collaboration around creating or customizing or making adjustments to the solution, and then delight that smaller provider. They
Mhm.
become that partner with you, and then from that place where that a connector like us Senior Living Foresight can bring a provider together with a technology company. Another great place that I love is the university settings. As you may know, I supported and wrote the curriculum for the undergraduate program at Washington State University in the sales and marketing bachelor's degree. Then I went on to help launch Boston University with Scott Eckstein
Yeah.
and their incredible Department of Hospitality, their graduate program. So bringing technology partners or companies today, having validation of your research. I just finished a thesis, as you know, my master's degree, and my thesis was related to a software idea I had. And there's a software company that's really excited about that idea and wants to possibly integrate it and create it. So again, partnering with smaller boutique operators that can make decisions, and then looking at the broader academic community that can also validate a solution. It's a great way to get those early adopters.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too that I'm always recommending to people, especially as they're trying to use social media for brand awareness, one thing that goes so far and is getting testimonials from your clients. Do you have any tips or suggestions for technology companies that are in need of those type of testimonials?
I love that question. Thank you, because I am so dedicated now, coming out of a master's in aging and health innovation around the rich culture. We use
Mhm.
the word culture, but the environmental culture of the community setting, right? Associates, management, families, referral sources, and the resident, that end user. And so using social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok now, where you can have a resident like me with a screenshot using the mobile application that I may be using in my community to communicate with other residents. The power of authentic storytelling
Yeah.
with our end users cannot be underestimated, and you can't buy it. So
Yeah.
we can have our marketing companies, and I love these incredible marketing agencies, but they will also be advocates. So if you're an operator as well as a technology company, instead of just putting it in a flat picture on a brochure,
Mhm.
being able to show the delight of residents, being able to show an ease of use in a short video format or again in social media, and then again gathering those stories and repeating them. We can't underestimate the power of our attention. As we all know, we're scrolling quickly through LinkedIn, we're scrolling quickly through Facebook. So keeping those messages and testimonials very fresh. And that kind of goes back to marketing strategy for both the technology company and the operator working together. Because again, just like at Senior Living Foresight, we have a schedule, we have a year, we have formatting and content that's provided weekly for sponsors. That can happen internally as well for the tech company as well as the operator. And I promise you, you will see an increase in adoption, but you're going to see an increase in engagement. People are going to view it because it's authentic, real content.
Yeah.
And I do see that translating as well into move-ins.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as a business owner, you always want to be on the lookout for when you can capture one of those testimonies. So now that you're thinking about it, it's being launched in your mind. The next time someone says to you, one of your customers or a resident says, "Oh my gosh, what a difference this makes. I love using this," or "You guys are the best." That should trigger in your mind that you're going to pick up this and you're going to record a quick testimonial video as you're face to face with that person. And again, like you said, Farah, it doesn't have to be a marketing and highly produced piece. When you see this authentically done, it actually has more power. And, there was a time when I was first starting my business that I collected a bunch of these. I was just on the lookout for these testimonies. And then every Tuesday, I just ran on my social media testimonial Tuesdays, and they were powerful. They let people know that the solution does work. And so, if you're an operator, if you're a technology solution, uh, be on the lookout for people saying they like what you're doing, and then quickly be able to capture it.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it, Abby. I mean, another, like you're saying, the how to, we're really having a great A tactical conversation as well. If you're a technology company, you may have customer experience leaders, get into the communities, make sure you make those visits. And like Abbie's sharing, the power of a 5 second, 10 second, 15 is a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
the power of those tiny little bites for people to witness, for people to see, then they can also be threaded.
Yeah.
So we use an old advertising. I still use a term called Burmache. And some
Okay.
people may know what that looked like. There were billboards along a highway, and it was an advertising kind of format. And
Okay.
I'm a Texan, so we had a store that's been
Uh-huh.
revitalized called Stuckey's. But when you would drive through a West Texas stretch of highway, I would see one billboard, 10 miles later, another billboard.
Yeah.
It's the same concept of
Mm-hmm.
keeping those impressions alive. So it's okay for an organization as well as an operating group and tech company to have that overlap and also cross promote with each other. Often you'll see messages from Abbie and Senior Living Foresight or from myself. And when I'm posting, I'm also tagging. I'm
Yeah.
also retagging. I'm also reflagging because we know those impressions mean something to your prospect, your future resident, but also as a technology company, your future prospect to adopt your technology.
100%. And I think that Atria does this really well because I know I've called Atria many times and they have customer testimonials while you are on hold or you're being transferred from one place to the next. And it's just running. It's not like, they just have them recorded voices talking about their experience or how happy their mother is now that they're living there. And so it's not just capturing it for social media. Like you said, it could be tied through to other places. So I want to take a quick break and I want to go ahead and hear a word from our sponsor, Fynn.io.
You can invest a lot of money and continually hire care staff, the best that you can possibly find. But if they become frustrated or if they don't have access to the right information to do their job well, they're very likely going to move on to another location. So if you can give them an environment where all the information that they need is readily available and they're rewarded for doing a good job, recognized for doing a good job, and they feel personally valued at that job, then they will stick around. They will perform better. They will build better relationships with the residents and the resident families, and you will ultimately have a better living situation.
Thank you for that word. So much. There's got to be a heightened awareness and impact on the staff because if they're able to get their job done better, faster, more efficiently, and get back to doing the things that they do really well at, everyone is going to be in better shape for that. So thank you, Fynn. We like that. Thank you so much. I want to talk now, kind of shift the topic a little bit towards ROI. I know from working with technology companies in senior living that it's hard to see the ROI, and yet as you're deciding whether or not you should adopt this technology or adopt that one, sometimes it just seems like an expense, right?
Right.
So, how can these operators start utilizing the ROI on these tech solutions?
That is such a great question, Abbie. And I've talked to a number of different technology companies because it goes back to culture.
Okay.
So a return on investment may very well be a next move in. But I also look at it from the human capital side. So in terms of culture, something may be from the top down. Let's say you're the CEO today and you're looking at technology that's going to help you move residents in more quickly. We
Mm-hmm.
have to ask the question though, will who in the staff chain, whether it's sales or the concierge, may be using that technology? Did we get their buy-in? And
Yeah.
once we get that buy-in, that return on investment, because I'll see often a technology company will show a lot of dollars on a slide deck. But the human capital side, again, to me, is that priceless value of the ROI. So that when, again, we talk about resident engagement or associate engagement, you've got to get the staff because I've seen some solutions where the pushback will be from the associates that say, it took too long for me to learn it. I didn't like it. When I'm giving up one technology, and I've been around folks, so I remember when I had paper medical records,
Yeah.
and to help someone let go of a way we did it to a new way of slicing the bread, so to speak, we have to do that in a way that, again, gets that internal champion on the associate side. When they start to see that their time is free to do other things, when they're able to do the joy that they love, whether it's in a dining setting, a caregiving setting, a business office management setting, then again, the ROI becomes even more priceless, not just a dollar number, if that makes sense. And that to me is the illustration that's often missed by technology companies, again, to the operator. So the operator can go, I think my business office manager could use this to help them with a competitive grid, or help them with a pricing strategy, or help them with electronic care planning. So again, I think expanding that ROI beyond just what it costs to buy it and or integrate it, but it's that overall human cost as well.
100%. And as we're talking about using technology, how does any of this impact sales and marketing?
Well, I mean, when I look at, again, some really great sponsors that you have here, it's the delight. It's what the customer is looking for. Families, residents have control over reviews, so to speak. So I know that one of your partners, AccuShield, and Fynn is an amazing sponsor of this show.
Yeah.
So please forgive me if I mention other Foresight partners. But reputation management is critical. So if I have associates that are delighted and happy, we've made their job easier, I'm going to see probably an increase in positive associate satisfaction. The price of that means lower turnover. Again, that's tied to the return on investment. The delighted resident, the delighted family, the delighted physician or referral source, we're going to correlate those delighted experiences to an increase in referrals, to an increase in family referrals, which therefore become an increase in revenue, become an increase to your occupancy. I know of a community today where all of their large apartments have waiting lists 10 deep, 10
Wow.
residents deep. So their challenge and opportunity is, how do we move residents into the right apartments to allow other people to come in? But it was purely from the testimonials on Google, on Yelp, that were out there describing the experience from a resident's perspective around that apartment style and apartment amenity. So the power in that is another priceless part of that ROI.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And to circle back to AccuShield, they have a feature in their kiosk that will message you after you've left the community and ask you how your experience was. So this is a way of using technology to gather a review, to gather stars that you can then use in other places. And I just think that is phenomenal.
Exactly. And that's my hope, the power of our consumer to choose. They are looking, as a resident in an independent living, I'll often hear from a prospect or a current resident that they toured 10 different communities. They read those reviews. So social media is critically important.
Yeah.
And then it's the alignment, right? We have to make sure that those authentic messages are from more than one resident, or more than one associate, as we described the social media opportunities earlier. And then the alignment, if you're in management and we're aligning and striving to align with the expectation of the marketing and now the experience, I think that's the critical place to use this technology, the tools of technology, again, like a Fynn, like AccuShield, like Further, August Health, perfect example of being able to automate often some of the, incident reporting tasks that, the team and the care side need to complete to meet a regulation standard, but it frees them up now to spend more time with their residents.
Yeah. Where do you think is the biggest gap in technology today?
I love that question and I thank you for it. I do still see um, a gap in that connecting culture. And I think it goes back to how do we articulate authentic cultural experiences? How do we articulate the resident and family and referral sources experiences? And we've talked about some ways. I have an interesting challenge out into the market. I continue to hear around what it feels like qualitatively for aging individuals to leave something behind
Okay.
and go into an unknown frontier, this frontier of a community.
Yeah.
And it's not as if we're going to college with a common goal to finish a degree.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to enjoy some of the visceral experiences like dining or fitness or leisure. And now, but have we offered opportunities within technology, maybe mental health technology? Have we offered places for people to put their loss? Have we offered places for people to access grief? Have we given them a place where they can voice those concerns without necessarily it going up on a Yelp or a Google review?
Yeah,
Because
interesting.
disappointment become an incident around a disappointment could
Mm-hmm.
become systemic or a symbol of a resident's real loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the community did something wrong. So I
Yeah.
think invert that I see as still an opportunity and gap for us. I think we do a lot of promising in senior living around an idealistic idea around community, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all still human beings. So we have to allow a space culturally where human beings are striving, never getting or promising or guaranteeing, but we're striving to deliver quality. And residents also have to feel like they have a place to put their disappointment and concern.
Yeah. When I hear you talking about this, it's reminding me of the many times when I started working with people one on one. And the first thing they would say to me is, we just moved in here, or we used to live and we had this great big house, and now I'm all in here and I'm cramped. And it's almost like when you're talking about that loss, I can then sense that the change in the lifestyle and the change in the environment, that's a loss also, that has really nothing to do with the community, but still something that a resident may be experiencing.
Absolutely, Abby. And my mother also lives in a senior living community in New England. All my years of experience on the operations side continue to really inform this idea that we have to create a culture in communities
Mm-hmm.
that allows for disappointment to be placed somewhere.
Yeah.
And that disappointment isn't necessarily something an operator can fix. I can't color my hair. I have a dermatite. I have a skin disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I wanted to color my hair, I couldn't. But if I have disappointment about that, where do I place it? When I see all my other residents get to color their hair. And it's a small example, but
Mm-hmm.
it becomes tied to, as you said, identity.
Mm-hmm.
If as aging individuals, our identity was tied to work, our identity was tied to the value of the money we made, our
Yeah.
identity was tied to location, or being a wife, a spouse, a mother. Many of us as residents have lost all of those things, or they've transformed and changed. So I
Mm-hmm.
see technology, as we're seeing in the mental health space, has a really cool opportunity, I think, to create some even in more enhanced communication software for
Mm-hmm.
peer-to-peer communication, supportive mental health services. So that's a gap I definitely see.
Yeah, yeah, good. I'm glad you mentioned that. So anyone who's developing some technology around that, let's hear from you. So, um, Farah, as we wrap up today, and we have a last couple of minutes, is there anything else that you want to share about the resident journey?
Thank you. I so appreciate, as a aging individual myself, I'm I really I want to challenge, I want to invite operators to stay in their guest suites. I
Yeah.
want to invite you as an operator to take a suite in an apartment. Don't stay in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
If your guest suite is good enough for a guest, it's good enough for you. the actual visceral experience of being awakened at 2 a.m. because someone accidentally knocked on your door, or there wasn't enough cream in the dining room at 6 a.m. when the coffee was made, or the delight when someone's birthday balloons arrive. That happens when we as executives decide to live, whether it's a week, whether it's a month. But I know many executives today travel. But if you're an executive director, and there's a model, this was a model that the Holiday and the Clausen family used for years, where their actual community executives or administrators lived in the community. And I know there are labor issues and things that, people have talked about with that model, but it also is a rich, intimate model. So I would ask and say to you as executives, if you can embed yourself and then actually use many of these technologies, see what it's like at a shift change, see what it's like for residents, sit with residents as we're trying to open up an application and really use it. That will be invaluable for you in terms of thinking about the future, and then also thinking about how the technology serves that resident experience.
Thank you, Fara. That was wonderful. And how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
Thank you. I'm asked often, as I served Steve Moran, and it was such an honor to be a part of some of the creation of content like your show when I was with Steve. But I finished a master's. I had to focus on my thesis. I have a domain, but I haven't even opened that website because I just take conversations. I'm actively looking, as I shared. I'm looking for a place to call my next home. And it will be that hybridized operational as well as cultural as well as technology role. And I feel really equipped with my latest, my master's degree in aging and health innovation from Arizona State University, which is #1 ahead of Stanford and MIT in health innovation. So I'm really honored that I could even make it through that program. But you can reach me at my phone number, 503-877-8280. Text or call me. And then my resident journey and experience, Fara at theresidentjourney.com, and LinkedIn as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for our audience today and participating in the chat. We love it that you're here with us. And before we wrap up today, thank you, Jesse, you're awesome. Before we wrap up today, I want to thank our sponsors for today's show, Fynn.io. Learn how to improve your resident well-being, forecast costs, and drive NOI with Fynn's comprehensive senior living platform. If you're curious, look them up at Fynn.io. And for everyone else who's joining us, thank you, and we will see you back here next week.